Hey guys, welcome back, and Merry Christmas, I guess, since this is going up on the 25th here. So yeah, anyways, we are back with Shaman King and another episode. I did skip 1 week because I was busy as well. But as usual, I will try to catch up in my own time and continue on, right? We are just entering a new arc here in regards to the sort of mecha elements of the children that Yo's dad is taken care of, that whole thing. We saw at the very end of the last episode that mecha come to life, the MF and whatnot. I've mentioned before my feelings on this particular arc, but nevertheless, it does have a ton of action packed in. So I do think that this is going to be an interesting arc as well, and this would be a nice place to continue on. So anyways, with that being said, let's just get right into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Mm. Again, though, I've said this numerous times before. It does kind of always get me into a pickle that this really more fantasy inspired kind of story, right? With the shamans and spirits and all that. It has a certain degree of mechs in it. I mean, just from a certain I think that was obvious just from a certain group, one of the three groups here, the X's, if you will, and what they're using. I don't think that really counts as a spoiler. I feel like the designs of them are quite makes it quite obvious. But beyond them, we obviously have this particular robot here as well, or mecha, or whatever you want to call it. What would you call it? An armored suit? A Gundam? I feel like calling it a mecha fits. Alright. Back to the story. Salem. Or I guess, yeah, I guess we can call it what they call it in here. Golem, right? But honestly, Golem to me invokes something entirely different. He was a gangbanger. You're still mute.
Chocolove の復讐のために戦っても構わんと言うんだな。復讐？大切なものをなくしたことないから、そんな綺麗事ばかり言うんだ。まるで悟ったみたいにな。
Hey.
でもそれだけじゃない。何？お前はまだ引き返せる。
今のようじゃゴーレムには到底及ばないわ。
じゃあなんで急がないのさ。
死ななきゃいいのよ。いくら相手が強くても、要は死ぬような戦いはしない。思いっきり負けて、また一回りすればいいんだわ。
一回り？
チョコラブの止血頼んだぜトカゲロ。
またXなんたらいうやつらに蘇生頼みに行くつもりかよ。
ヨウの旦那がシャーマンファイトをやめちまった今、奴らに取り合う理由はねえ。
で、どうすんだ。
あん時俺はマジ死にだった。
See, there is still one more group.
ガンダーラには死者を蘇らせる力がある。
けどよ、
トカゲロ、俺たちは何としてもガンダーラの居場所を突き止めようぜ。ダメで泣くのはそれからでも遅くねえ。
なんだ、結局こうなったらやるしかないんだね。行くぞ、見せてやるよ、ゴーレムの真の力を。阿弥陀流大五光人。こいつはすげえよ。これが俺もまだ知らないゴーレムの真の力。すげえ浮力派だ。次行けるか。
無論、奴の光線は放射状とはいえ、その軌道は直線にござる。
Hmm.
本体から目をそらさぬ限り見切るのは可能。
俺は絶対復讐を果たしてセイラームの心を取り戻すんだ。セフィロトブラスト。
I like how it has like that tree of life kind of thing going on.
ケテル、ネツアーク、ティフェレト、ゴーレム。
Evangelion, anyone?
上空からあれを仕掛けられては先のがござらん。
そうか。いいぞゴーレム、見ろ。すげえぞ、あいつの姿なんてどこにもない。ないない。何？下がダメなら上がある。やったらやり返される。
Anna.
でも俺もう引き返すことなんてできねえよ。だって俺はもう人は。
なーに、まだ諦めるには早えさ。チョコラブのことなら。
なんだよこれ。ゴーレムが俺の知らない顔に。
大丈夫か？
兄さん。
ルドセブ、一体あれは何なんよ。
I like how Yo is just like completely calm.
じゃあ、あれがお前も知らんゴーレムの真の力なんだろうな。阿弥陀丸、スピリット・オブ・ソード。
兄さん。とりあえず逃げるぞルドセブ。
He's calling him Big Bro, not Yo, but sure.
焦ったら負けだ。大丈夫。セイラームは必ずオイラが何とかする。
兄さん。
シェムハメフラシ
Oh, she speaks. The gates of death.
確かロダンの地獄。
Or, alright, gates of hell.
ってことはあれか。ここは地獄か。
やっぱそらそうだよな。俺はあんだけ人を殺してきたんだから。でもまさか地獄が本当にあるなんて。
でもまさかにコックが本気であるでんて。
じじい。
久しぶりじゃのうチョコラブ。
そんな嘘だろ。そのつまんねえキャラ間違い。
I mean, you guys deal with spirits and, you know, afterlife all the time.
バカ者、わしはお前の後を追ってきただけじゃ。
で、いや、それよりどういうことだよ、じじい。俺を追ってきたって一体。
わけは後で話す。だがその前に一つ。ここは地獄であって地獄でない。
あ、言ってることがよくわからねえな。
じゃろうな。チョコラブよ。当たり前のことだがこの世には存在するものしか存在しない。そして意志なきもとに作られるものはない。この世界はグレートスピリッツの中にある。
何？
波。
グレートスピリッツ。
Hmm.
この地球上すべて。
That wasn't a good pun.
さよ。そして似通った魂は呼び合い惹かれ合い、この中でそれぞれのコミューンを形成する。動物には動物の、人間には人間の。それぞれの育った環境や世界観、宗教によってその風景は様々だが、魂とは記憶そのもの。つまり生前の魂のあり方が死後ここでありのままに反映されるというわけじゃ。光の国を信ずる者は光の国へ行き、心に闇のある者は闇の世界へ。この地獄と呼ばれるコミューンにな。
Now that is an interesting concept, though, right? You being judged. It's a different take on this entire, you know, good and evil kind of thing, right? Basically, what you believe in is where you go to. I do find that to be a particularly interesting interpretation of the afterlife here in Shaman King.
本当に大丈夫なのか。
なんてことないさ。もう少し見張っといてくれ。気をつけてな。
ああ。
怪我は思ったよりやばい。どうする。なあ、メイデンはどうやってレンを生き返らせたんかな。
なんだ。
だってよ、人が普通生き返るわけねえだろ。 スを想像して呼びかける蘇るイメージ。
I'm not sure how he made that logic leap though. But it is a good thing that he's trying to find some way to get some healing.
一体俺たちの敵って何だったんだろう。父ちゃんは一体何のためにゴーレムを作ったんだろう。俺たちの母ちゃんってどんな人？
浮力反応805、もう一体は10500。見つけた。我らが民の敵。千のモード。
これはなかなか面白いものを見つけたな。
It's been a while.
ゴーレム、移ろう民の悲しき象徴か。こいつはごちそうだ。やあ、誰かと思えばようじゃないか。随分とひどい怪我だ。こいつにやられたのか？ゴーレムを離せ！なんでお前がここにいる？お前は目的がなければ散歩にも行けないのか？
なんだあいつは。セイラームが捕まったぞ。
来るなよダセブ。逃げろ。こいつはオイラの兄だ。逃がすわけにはいかないね。あんたの魂は私らがいただくと言ったはずだよ。
お前ら。
そんなものは今さらどうでもいいだろう、花組。これが噂のゴーレム。なるほど、見れば見るほど見事な出来栄えですな。
どういう意味よ。
強えのはそのガキじゃねえ。必要なのはゴーレムということさ。
こんな時に。
やれやれ、今日はまた随分と忙しい。
It has been though. Like, even though this is over all these different episodes, it has only been one day actually.
しかし驚くべきはあの媒介が持つ浮力。実に55万。これが内臓浮力の実力か。
内臓浮力。
おや、初耳ですかな、ヨウ様。通常シャーマンは自らの浮力を消費しオーバーソウルをこさえます。が当然浮力の少ないシャーマンはその数値を超える持ち霊を操ることはできない。それを補うため開発されたのが内臓の浮力というわけですな。例えばバッテリー、電気のように中に浮力を
Although whose Fudoku was stored in there, right?
なんてとんでもない浮力。一体どこから？
でしたら直接聞いてみたらどうです？自らの娘に取り付きゴーレムを操るカメル・ミュンツァー博士に。誰がさせるか。この人だ。ゴーレムは国を持たない我らを救うべく生まれた人造人間だ。この秘宝貴様らごときに渡せると思うのか。
Don't give in to vengeance and hatred.
僕もハオに両親を殺されたからその子の気持ちはよくわかる。だからあえて彼のことは見殺しにした。でも今は君の言葉の意味が分かりかけた気がする。だから危険を承知でみんなをこの場所に連れてきたんだ。分かり合うために。その時こそ僕たちは真の友情を結べる。
Still though, it's a ragtag team against Hao. What can it do? I guess find out next time on Shaman King. Alright guys, that was it for episode 36 of Shaman King, and so yeah, the beginnings, I guess you could say, or I don't know, can we really call this an arc? To me, it has always been the sort of Golem or Mecha arc, or the children arc or whatnot, because it does take quite a long time within the manga as well. But I think I mentioned before that this was never really one of my favorite arcs. I've been trying to figure out how to put it into words on why I'm pretty much indifferent towards this, and I think it boils down to a few things. So, number one, the children, you know, we never really got to know them in the first place, right? They were mentioned in passing, and then they were a liability, and you know, they don't really do anything yet to get us on to get us on their side, if you will. Even though they have a similar story to Lizurg, who you know is out there for revenge and whatnot, had their parents killed, etc., etc. At least with Lizurg, we stayed with him quite a while, right? We know the struggles that he went through. We see him trying to bond with his friends, and even though, you know, some differences tore them apart, right? He did essentially turn his arms on them in a sense, but still we had the luxury of him developing his story, his backstory, so that we can at least relate to him a lot more. So when we do see a conflict, it tugs our sympathy a lot more than it does for these two children, right? And really, that I think that's one of the big things about all this that I can't really get. We're just so suddenly thrown into this situation where suddenly they are quite important in the story, and you know, one contributing factor to that is also the ridiculousness of the entire mecha there. You know, it's not only a mecha, but it happens to be a super strong mecha that apparently has 500,000 points of Furoku in there, right? Which is like half of what Hao has, and we know how Hao's Furoku is ridiculous compared to everyone else, right? Heck, Yo at this point only has 10,000, right? And we know that most of Hao's companions there, they are generally at around the same level, right? Like tens of thousands of Furoku there. So suddenly having this really OP artifact, if you will, out of nowhere, arriving out of nowhere, and with a storyline, a backstory that's only tangentially related to the main story and whatnot. It's just, you know, obviously they do in the end find a way to tie it all together, right? And I do appreciate the sort of delve into the morals of the story, right? Especially in regards to vengeance. You know, you reap what you sow. What Yo himself preaches and practices for many for the entirety of the series, if you will. It's part of his philosophy, right? And his way of thinking. I'm glad with all that, and I'm glad that we get to see that and develop that and see how it works in practice. Same with Chocolove's backstory, right? You know, his past is catching up to him, and you know, it's causing him to waver, but at the same time, it's giving him another chance to do an introspective and potentially grow from this, right? But yeah, I just feel like even with saying all that, the fact that these characters, you know, came out of nowhere and yet have such a high impact artifact with them, that's apparently very important to this. I guess you can't really say really important to the storyline, but you know, it's ridiculous enough that it's gained the attention of Hao and the others, and we all know how difficult it is to do something like that, considering they are heads and shoulders above most of the rest of the competition. So, I don't know. And then the whole part with the vengeance being, you know, being just glossed over just like that, right? I mean, there's that also ties in a little bit to the backstory aspect of all this, right? Where we don't have enough time to really nurture the conflict, nurture the opposing views, opposing sides, and really allow us to get into it. Instead, it's just revealed in one episode and then resolved in the same episode. Like, to me, that is like way too fast, right? Here it's obviously an episode, but even within the manga, I've always felt like the entire thing kind of resolved itself way too fast. Especially considering with Zero, they've been trying to convince him for so long about, hey, you do you really want to do this? And even if Yo is Hal's brother, does that change anything? We don't really want to do anything in terms of like taking lives of Hal and his companions and so on and so forth. So we've been trying to build up to that throughout many episodes, right? And now suddenly here, cramming it all into one episode, into a few chapters, it doesn't really do it for me. And I think that's probably why, to me, I'm always so critical of this particular arc, and this particular storyline. It just doesn't really work to me, work too much for me on the story standpoint. And I find myself more annoyed by this storyline more than anything else, and annoyed by the presence of the mecha/golem, because I just feel like it's kind of out of place in regards to everything here. I mean, don't get me wrong, they do come to like an ending, they do come to an okay conclusion at the very end of this, right? But it's really, to me, I feel like this particular arc, or this particular setup, really, it's just to talk about the concept of vengeance, the concept of unending hatred, and how to break the cycle of hatred, right? And you could argue that it's a sort of setup to eventually doing something about Lazur's situation, but still, I don't really particularly see why they needed to have this kind of setup to push that kind of thinking out. And more to the point, if you do want to do this, why not flesh out the story a little bit more rather than something like this, right? But yeah, anyways, that has been I don't really want to go too much into harping on the series and whatnot. After all, complaining can only get you so far, right? But in any case, if I do recall correctly, there were quite a few like interesting moves here as well. I mean, in the anime, we can clearly see that this is because it's more mecha inspired, right? So we got these laser weapons, we got it flying in the air, we got those kinds of artillery bombardment kind of scenes. That's cool and all. But then again, I do feel like this Shaman King adaptation here isn't exactly all that stellar in terms of its animation, in terms of its artwork or whatnot. It's passable. But I guess all I can say is it was some reasonable action to this story, right? And that's the best that I can say out of all this. The rest, though, I think it's still better. Now, next episode is going to be a lot more interesting to see what exactly Yo and the others do to get out of this situation, because it's clearly not exactly in a they're not exactly in a good situation right now, right? How and his team are all here. What exactly can I do about it? And it doesn't, the Golem isn't going to be working with Yo anytime soon, because the Golem, the professor, and whatnot, they have a beef to carry out, right? They are like completely rogue. So next few episodes are definitely a lot more interesting, and especially what happens to Chocolove as well, and his backstory and all that. So looking forward to that one, which should be, I hopefully, sometime soon, sometime before the next episode drops. I will try to find some time to fit in episode 37 before next Friday, and the next episode. So with that in mind, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.